Bitcoin, it's been pretty soft lately. Both the spot price uh, today has been soft, and over the past 24 hours, it's been a bit softer. We're going to get to our main slide in just a moment, but the network hash rate right now is 480. That's definitely a bit on the higher side. So that's certainly having an impact on operations at the moment. Okay, so how have you been? Hopefully things are not too smoky or overly warm, depending on where you are in the world or in what part of the United States you might happen to be in. I know here in Pennsylvania we were once again under an air quality alert. The number got as high as like 150, which is kind of on the bad side. Thankfully, the winds have started to shift, so Canadian wildfire smoke is no longer drifting into Pennsylvania, at least, not quite as much of it. And it seems as if, though, in the next 24 hours, we might see some of that stuff being pushed elsewhere. Okay, so let's just go ahead and get into our update. Today, of course, is Tuesday, July 18th, 2023. Let's put up the first slide, please. So PJM Penelec and PJM PPNL, $30.38, the 24-hour average. So from about 3:30 or so in the afternoon yesterday till about 3:30 in the afternoon today, that's been the average PJM Penelec grid price. PJM PPNL average grid price $20.14. Bitcoin priced in dollars per megawatt hour, $80.46. So just above that $79 threshold that I mentioned yesterday. The 24-hour Bitcoin spot average is actually it was $30,000 exactly. And the network hash rate average over the past 24 hours was 418. Back to me, please. But as we just chatted about a moment ago, the current price of Bitcoin is below 30,000, and the network hash rate was up closer to like 480. So we'll have to see how this unfolds over the next several days. My expectation is that we are going to be, over the course of not only just the next couple of days, but really the next maybe 2 weeks or so, we're going to be going into a period of time which historically has generally seen situations where Stronghold Digital Mining will be active, right? And the company will be busy doing things. Because bear in mind, we're going to be having an investor presentation sometime more than likely in early August. So this is like the perfect time if we're going to put together some deals, if we're going to try to create, right, some really cool and interesting things to potentially share in that investor presentation. This is the time for that to start happening. It hasn't always necessarily worked out this way, but if you kind of go back in time, and certainly, of course, the past is not a predictor of the future, but there does seem to be a tendency for the company to engage in some deal making and to put some things together right around the time that we are going to have our investor presentation. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, it was the August presentation of last year. As I recall, it got postponed, the date got changed, the time got changed, and it's because we were, I think, very heroically and very successfully attempting to put together like this ultimate win-win-win-win situation where we, as we all know now, we began the process of successfully restructuring significant portions of our debt. And at the time, it just required so many pieces of paperwork to be signed by various counterparties, all sort of at the same time. And getting the logistics of that together was challenging, to say the least, but we got the job done. And because we got the job done, we are having a conversation today, nearly a year later, instead of potentially having, crashed and burned, so to speak. So I'm very, very keenly alert to any press release drops, any potential hints that might be viewable or ascertainable as just a member of the public, right? Just observing things, just to get a sense if there might be anything going on, because this is sort of a prime time for that to happen. Now, regardless of anything else, we are also looking forward to the July 2023 Bitcoin production update. It really does seem as if though we are developing a cadence whereby basically at the beginning of every new month, we're going to put out a press release and talk a bit about our Bitcoin production for the previous month. It's plausible that we might potentially roll that type of update into the investor presentation, although I suspect we might just keep it as a separate press release. The other thing that I'm very much looking forward to, as you are as well, I'm sure, is maybe we're going to get some answers to a variety of questions that are floating around out there. I know that one thing that just almost automatically gets addressed is our hash rate, our internal Stronghold Digital Mining hash rate. So the dashboard has it calculated at 3.6. So we've got about 400 petahash to go to close the gap to our goal, right, of having 4 exahash of internal Bitcoin mining capacity. I think, this is somewhat speculative, but I think that right now we are actively, very, very actively attempting to close that gap. Because bear in mind, we've been guiding as a company September 30th, 2023 as our self-imposed deadline to reach 4 exahash of Bitcoin mining capacity. Remember, right, as with any publicly traded company, these are not guarantees. I mean, right, it's like, look at every single day, as you know, things are at risk, okay? This is a very, very dynamic situation. But I suspect that right now we are working like on overdrive to see if we can put something together to reach the goal of 4 exahash by the time the investor presentation rolls around. Because bear in mind, okay, early August, the next month after August is September. So, and remember, our sort of internal goal here is to say, hey, we're going to set a target and then we're going to either meet it or beat it. And so I think there's a realistic chance, although again, this is speculative. I don't want anybody to misconstrue this and think, oh, he must have like insider information. I know I don't. It's just, I actually had a strange dream about this recently. Not that dreams should be, the sort of like the source material for company projections, but I have a sense that we might be working on this quite diligently. So we'll have to see. But that, I do believe, is going to be a very, very useful catalyst, if not for Wall Street, certainly for us in terms of our own ability to generate incredibly useful revenue. Our energy arbitrage machine is only truly complete when we get to a point where, hey, we could either be mining Bitcoin at full capacity or alternatively selling electricity to the grid. One of the things that hobbled us during Q1 2023 is that we were very much still in a transition period where we were attempting to rebuild our mining fleet, be it via these incredibly, I think, useful win-win hosting plus arrangements, as we have with Foundry and as we have with Canaan, as well as purchasing Bitcoin mining machines ourselves, right? As was the case with the 5,000 micro BT WhatsMiner M50s, which are phenomenal machines. And as part of that transaction, as you may recall, our co-founder and CEO, Greg Beard himself, right? He was a part of that investment round, so to speak, to help make that happen. So if that's not a vote of confidence in the company, I don't know what is, right? So we've been working very diligently, right, to build up our full potential as a Bitcoin mining company. Not to mention the fact that we still have that approximately 1 exahash of end-to-end data center capacity, right, that we simply need to find a home for, right? So that I think also is going to be a very noteworthy situation, which, again, let's take it a step at a time. I think I know for certain, sorry for the beep, that, the focus right now has to be naturally, right, on filling the space that we have available, right, the roughly 400 petahash or so that are available in our existing data centers. So just from a logical, hey, what comes first perspective, it would make sense that that would be the focus. But not very far behind that, I'm certain, is this question of let's fill, hey, we've got this data center capacity, but, about 1 exahash worth of it. Let's get that situated. Let's get that online. Let's start generating useful revenue with it. So there are a lot of, I think, very promising and exciting things to look forward to. We are in that season right now where every single morning I'm very alert for press releases. I've got a couple of little scripts running that are attempting to, alert me in real time. Hey, something just dropped. Pay attention to this. So we'll have to wait and see. The stock price, right, is doing what it's doing. One of our friends on Twitter, I believe by the name Nostalgic, mentioned that she bought what she described, and I'm paraphrasing this, as an irresponsible amount of Stronghold stock. I don't know if it was today or yesterday at $7, somewhere in the $7 range. And I think many of us can relate to this idea of perhaps having purchased an irresponsible amount of the company. Of course, we should always be very responsible and do our due diligence and know what we're doing before we put money into either Stronghold or any company. But I think we can relate, right, a little bit to this idea that, hey, you know what, we're passionate about this company. We believe in this company. We believe in the mission. We believe in the purpose of this company. And ultimately, I think for a lot of us, we really also believe in the upside potential of the stock price. Because at the end of the day, right, what matters universally for all of us who are co-owners and shareholders of this business is that stock price. We want to see that stock price go up, and I have every reason to believe and every bit of confidence to believe that that is something that we will ultimately be vindicated with regard to, and that we will, hopefully, right, my expectation is that we will be rewarded with an incredibly nice upside to the stock price. Until then, as always, let's stay positive, let's be great, and we'll see each other again tomorrow.